Welcome to part 2. You were saying about Adam Azim.
Yeah, just think, brilliant skill set. I want to see more inside fighting from him. I want to see him tested against a pressure fighter who's got that power, who's going to put him under that sustained pressure to see how he reacts to that. But there's plenty of time, absolute loads and loads of time. But then again, is there? Because what they do is they always talk about fast tracking these kids, don't they? And it was a good opponent last night, skill wise. But I don't know why are these fighters not fighting for British titles, and why are they not going that British route? I don't know.
Well, they're all wanting to bypass British title route and go for the money. And that's the problem at the moment in boxing. Nobody's wanting to learn their craft. They all want to get a few quid, but they don't want to go down as all-time greats.
Yeah, I keep watching, and I said the same thing, but I keep watching Mark Haler, Simpson and all these guys, and they always go the British, Commonwealth, European, and then they go international route. They always go that route because you master your country, and then you master your continent, and then you go onto the world, and you get used to different styles. And we're just leapfrogging all the time. Everybody's leapfrogging all the time, and I'm like, why is that?
Oh. Right there, George.
Noise that happens when you film outside. You get
Yeah. Okay. Now on to the juicy stuff. What do you think to Lauren? Is it Price?
Lauren Price. You know what? I might be the only person who's going to say this about Lauren Price, and it's
Are you not feeling it for her, Julian?
it's not a criticism. It's an observation, right? I only watched because it was on the undercard, and I've only just started watching Before the Bell this morning, and I watched the first 2 rounds of Lauren Price's fight. There's this bizarre thing about Lauren Price is always out of range.
Yeah.
If you actually watch her fight, the first couple of rounds, I know she won, but a nasty cut, I think. If you watch Lauren Price's fights, every single one, she misses with about 95% of the punches. It's bizarre. She's letting her shots go, pop, 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 southpaw, really quick shots. And she's hitting fresh air, or she's. Someone needs to work on her range. Her range is up for a gold medalist.
Yeah.
We're talking a gold medalist. Lauren Price's range is bizarre. She's always out of range, and she has major problems with accuracy. Clearly, she's got some accuracy. She's unbeaten. She's won Olympic gold, but she doesn't hit. To say she's got a hell of a build on her. She doesn't have much power, but again, this is what I'm saying. Her feet are always out of range. Where's the footwork for her pedigree, so she can let her shots and sink them in? Whatever you say about, Katie Taylor, for example, coming towards the end. I think Katie Taylor's brilliant, but Katie Taylor's range is great. I always, when I was training fighters, just I don't go on about this sometimes, but I always have a philosophy. It's nothing innovating. It's nothing groundbreaking, but feet, hands, feet. That's how I teach fighters. Feet, hands, feet. You get your feet in. It's subtle. It's very subtle. You get your feet in. You let your hands go, and you come back out, or you exit, or whatever. Feet, hands, feet. And when I watch someone like Lauren Price and some other fighters who've got really poor accuracy, it's like hands, feet, hands. It's actually bizarre. And people now be thinking you're talking rubbish. Go back and watch Lauren Price's last few fights. Just watch a minute of any of them, and tell me how many shots she's actually landing. And it's almost like she's shadowboxing in front of the opponent. It's bizarre. Clearly she's a level above these guys that she only has to land 5 or 6 good shots to easily win the fight. But Katie Taylor, feet, hands, feet. Lauren Price, hands, feet, hands. Massive difference. She needs some work there. And that might sound critical of Robert McCracken, who's a hell of a CV as a coach.
Yeah. Well, he'll get the pick of them, won't he, from up there?
He'll certainly get the pick, and fair enough. Why not?
Going back to Adam Azim's trainer, do you think he's with right trainer, Adam?
Look, I understand we've got some really good coaches in the country, but I listen to what Terry would say, for example, and I've always had that philosophy.
Terry Chappendama, yeah.
Terry Chappendama, and it's something Ben Doughty used to talk about for years and years and years. There's something about the culture of American gyms and also on the border of Mexico, and spending time with different coaches and different gyms, because you can go to any gym and you can get great sparring in the States. And I just think we have based someone who's spent 20 odd years of being a pro coach, we've got a very travelled to a lot of gyms. We've got a very prescriptive nature how we coach fighters, and I think we coach them. We don't teach them. So we not only do we not teach fighters, we don't get fighters to think for themselves. And sometimes you have to think for yourself while you're in the fire pit. So whilst Adam Azim with Shane will get good quality sparring, he'll get good fundamentals, good base fundamentals, the right supplements, all the training, the fitness, the aerobic work, the strength work. He'll tick all those boxes. But what I'm not seeing is what I keep talking about, is that fluidity and also that thinking for himself. He's still doing the same moves, the same shots, and I also think Shane as well overcomplicates things. He gives about 6-7 instructions in 1 minute at the end of every round. I like to see fighters travel the gyms, go abroad, go to the US, you know, work with various trainers, and I think that would benefit him immensely. And I really enjoy when whatever you say about Anthony Joshua, I think it's a good thing that he's done. I think it was a good thing when Amir Khan did it. We know Hamza Sheeraz has done it now. Hamza Sheeraz is off in the States, and I think whilst we have a lot of success for such a small island, I think there's a prescriptive nature to British fighters, and we generally see two types of British fighter. You see the Adam Azim, the George Groves, the David Hay, what we call that fast twitch style, that rangy style.
That crouching, counter punch style, isn't it?
And then you see that pressure fighter, compact Manchester style, which we saw with Gomez, Liam Smith,
Crawler.
And you see those two things, and what you very rarely see is that fluidity of a fighter who can do it all. So we see a Terry Norris, we see those guys, Mike McCallum, that can box, that can fight in the pocket.
Tony.
Counter punch,
James Tony,
offensive, bully. They can do all those different things, and I just think if you start looking, and Lauren Price, go back to Lauren Price, she was a perfect example of what I've just said. Technically very good, feet are out of range, but technically very, very good. Or you get the guys who just let their hands go. But where is that fighter who can adapt all the time? And that's why I want to see. I can see certain fighters that fly. I can see certain fighters, and I know they're being matched in certain ways, away from certain styles. And I think that comes from travelling the gyms and working with different coaches. And do you know what fighters don't do as well? Very, very rarely. They don't study old tapes. I'm not stuck in the 80s all the time. When I was an amateur boxer, I always used to watch the great fights of the century and stuff. I'd watch VHS at the time. I'd get as much stuff on Ezzard Charles, as much footage on Joe Louis and Ezzard Charles and those guys as I could. And fighters generally don't study great fighters. Well, how can you be a great, if you look at, for example, if you look at music, you look at artists in music and things, and you look at or actors, right? You get a Pacino, you get a De Niro. They will always study the greats, from the silent movies, the whole thing. They will study their art, and I don't think it's something that boxers really do. And all the boxers I've worked with don't study boxing that deeply. No, it's a trainer's job. It's like it's not.
Most of them are resting, aren't they? If they've been on an hard session training.
Just watch as much video, watch as much footage as you can. I mean, the amount of hours I've spent. I remember when I got in the mid 80s, I got a sparring session on VHS of Tommy Earns and Mark Breland, and I think Tommy Earns and Mike McCallum. It's just sparring at the Kronk. The amount of time I watched that, it was untrue. I used to just study it all the time. It was fascinating. I used to study Wilfred Benitez, just his defensive moves, just non-stop. And I don't think that's something that we do, and I don't think that's something that a lot of British coaches do. And if they do, they certainly don't talk about it that much. And I think historically, I think we're quite naive as well. Sports moved on now, what do I want to watch all that stuff for? Well, Mike Tyson was a hell of a student of the game, wasn't
So was Tyson Fury. He studies everything, reads all the books, that's all he ever did.
But Tyson Fury, to the point I've just made, Fury can fight on the outside, he can switch, he can fight in the pocket.
Can do them all.
He can do it all.
Is it all 7 styles he can fight like Usyk, isn't it?
He can do them all, can Tyson Fury, and that makes him.
So can Mayweather.
And what would Fury's getting out boxing, he'll hunt you down. If you hunt him down, he'll outbox you. If you want to fight in the pocket, he'll counter you, he'll block you, and this is the thing. But we'll see this with certain fighters, you know, like an Adam Azim, just to bring it up.
Yeah.
I don't think he'll be
Amrad
able
Shiraz.
yeah, I don't think some of these guys will be able to adapt and be versatile enough. Like I said, Floyd Mayweather, you just mentioned, Floyd could do everything.
Yeah.
Everything that man could do.
Slope, pace down, they can do anything, can't they?
Everything. You know, good fighters can win a round by throwing 5 shots, and good fighters can basically warm into a fight and not throw a punch for 2 rounds, but always be comfortable. Whereas like Anthony Joshua, for example, he never looks comfortable. You can imagine Anthony Joshua just spinning around, just defending and blocking and parrying and just feeling the shots. He couldn't do it. He always feels a need to throw a punch because there's always jeopardy. And this is boxing that's evolved for hundreds of years, and this is an art. And why don't people study the art of boxing?
I don't know. Right, we'll go on to part 3 now. I just want to thank everybody for liking and subscribing and sharing videos and leaving a comment. These are going to go out, what I'm going to do today with Julian will be out in part 1 to whatever, so I hope you're enjoying it. But like I said, don't forget to like and subscribe and leave a comment. Some good boxing chat. We'll move on then into part 3 with It's Big Freeze versus the White Rhino, Julian.
Let's do that.
Hey?
Let's do that one.
You'll do that one then. Alright then, over to part 3.